news this week in the effort to bring light rail transit to the Northwest Metro. We talked about the latest developments with Hennepin County Commissioner for District 1, Jeff Lunde.
This week they dropped the new draft alignment, which is just, we move through stages, so we moved up to 5%, which basically says we believe this route is viable, and now we have to kick off a whole bunch of work, including environmental assessments, ridership, engineering, a lot more details, I think, at this point. It'll go through North Minneapolis on West Broadway. Before, it was going to go through Theodore Wirth Park. And so now we're going through North Minneapolis. Our ridership numbers should actually increase because we're now serving a greater population. Still a ton amount of details, additional stop in Robbinsdale as well at North Memorial. Over the next 12 to 18 months, we will be doing a bunch of different steps. Environmental assessment, which is a very required process, goes through, make sure there's no mitigations, or if there's things identified, you have to figure out plans to mitigate them. We have to actually figure out where the stops go. Is there going to be center lane in Robbinsdale? Is it going to be one side or the other? Those are the kind of things we have to go through. Very specific on the crossings. Are we going to account for other pedestrian crossings that are impacted? Do we have to talk about pedestrian bridges? Because, you look at 81, it is a wide road. It's not safe. No one during last year's engagement that we did over 30 meetings in Robbinsdale, said, nope, 81's great. I love crossing it as a pedestrian. So we know there's lots of improvement that needs to be done, not just at the stops. Well, I think what happens is you kind of start narrowing in. Where is the stop? Is it going to be 40th, 41st, 42nd? You figure out that. Okay, now we have to figure out the pedestrian crossings, the at grade, how do things change, the timing of the lights. Also, going my experience as mayor of Brooklyn Park, there's a lot of stuff that got worked into the system that reflected local concerns, especially pedestrian crossings, and how are we going to time things out. If you don't engage and you have a really great idea, it's not going to get in the system. So you need to engage, let us know. There's still going to be a vote. There still has to go before the Robbinsdale, Crystal, Brooklyn Park, Minneapolis councils all have to provide approval, and the county, because it's all on county road. It is 100%. So this is the moment to get involved. If you sit back and say, I don't care, ID will never get added. So you need to engage and provide those. And especially if you want to see pedestrian improvements done, especially in Robbinsdale, up and down that crossing, this is that moment to do that. And we're going to keep engaging with people.
If one of those cities doesn't give municipal consent, what happens?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. So I think what we do is we work toward consent and we try to identify what needs to be done. I think Crystal, when they did their municipal consent, they did we're not saying yes, we're not saying no, but they still laid out what factors needed to be addressed, and so we'll work through that and hit that.
The hope is that we could actually see shovels in the ground 5 years, maybe?
Yeah, I'm hoping. 3 or 4, we've got the funding from the state side is actually paid for by the county. We've got the process at the feds, they keep track, and they're continuing to move our process forward.
Efforts also continue in an attempt to make Highway 252 safer and less congested. But as Jason Malello reports, it could be a long process.
Highway 252 running through Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center is a busy and sometimes treacherous road with an average of 378 crashes a year.
Part of the problem is just the design of the roadway with all of the intersections.
But right now, there's no consensus about how to make 252 safer. Brooklyn Center resident Nahid Hahn voiced her concerns in an earlier interview with CCX News.
We want some public transparency about what's being planned, what's going to affect our neighborhoods, what's going to affect our neighbors, what's going to affect our sort of livability in this area.
MnDOT says it's trying to be as thorough as possible by conducting an ongoing environmental impact study.
There has been some thought that we already have the solution in our back pockets and we're going to pull it out without getting input, but that's not true.
One possible solution is converting 252 into a multi-lane freeway, but Hahn says that will take out a lot of properties.
Dozens to more than 100 houses, plus some apartment buildings, plus a lot of the local businesses and commercial properties in Brooklyn Center and Brooklyn Park that are on or near Highway 252.
MnDOT will make a few minor improvements along Highway 252 next year, but a major project is still several years away. In Brooklyn Park, Jason Malillo, CCX News.
MnDOT is hosting public meetings regarding Highway 252. For dates and locations, you can go to our website, ccxmedia.org. The rising cost of essentials from gas to groceries continues to impact the spending habits of consumers.
We are finding more and more folks coming and checking out the sales, maybe people that have never used it before, because of inflation rates, because of the prices of gas and the prices of groceries going up so high right now. Fare for All is more important than ever.
The Food Group, a New Hope-based hunger relief nonprofit, operates pop-up grocery sites throughout the Twin Cities. They're called Fare for All, which buys fresh produce and frozen meat in bulk from wholesalers and sells it to the public at a 40% discount.
This is a good program. We have seen it over the years, serving folks who don't always qualify for assistance programs, but could still really use the help in stretching their food budgets.
The food is bundled in $10 to $40 packages, and the packages change every month. You can sign up or learn more on our website, ccxmedia.org. North Hennepin Community College in Brooklyn Park is hosting a 3-day fine arts festival starting next Thursday. The festival will feature art created by students and community members of color, along with live music, food, and more.
This is our second annual Stages of Equity event. It is a 3-day festival celebrating the work of BIPOC artists. We started very local this year and then also going out into some national realms as well.
The Stages of Equity Arts Festival is free and open to the public April 28th through 30th. Reservations are requested but not required due to a limited capacity. For tickets and more information, visit nhccfinearts.org.